After 2 years of debating team names and logos, witness lists and emails, arena deadlines and relocation applications, we finally got us a ball game. From the Dodge Sports Desk, I'm Mike Sherman, and this is Bringing the Thunder with Darnell Mayberry. Darnell, the NBA is back in Oklahoma City. The Milwaukee Bucks are here Wednesday night at the Ford Center. Let me ask you this. 7 preseason games, Darnell. You saw them all. What did they tell us about the Thunder that is relevant tonight when the season opens?
The most glaring thing to me in those 7 games was Russell Westbrook. When you look at his progression from the first game to the 7th game, I mean, he got better as each game went on. I mean, he struggled early with the first 4 games with inconsistency. Those last 2 games, he put together his best games of the preseason, had 22 points against the Suns, 23 against the Lakers, and he's playing against good guards in Steve Nash, Leandro Barbosa, and Jordan Farmar and Derek Fisher in LA. So, I mean, this is when, his best games came against players who are actually going to be playing this NBA season. So that stood out to me.
Was there any common denominator about when he struggled? And was it in any certain situations that you felt like you saw him, he's not as comfortable?
Well, I think, running the offense. He didn't look as comfortable running the offense, and especially in the half-court set. In the fast break style of play, he looked to be comfortable. Now, he made mistakes. He finished with a little over 4 turnovers per game in the preseason, so they want to get that down. But in terms of running the half-court offense, I think that's going to be his improvement that he needs to work on.
He didn't look like he was in any short supply of confidence, especially in the open court. I mean, he was just taking the ball to the hole all the time. Is there a chance, and something that you and Mike Baldwin have been talking about in the preseason, that he gets paired a lot tonight with Earl Watson?
They want to play it by ear, so to speak. They want to see how the game goes before they put Russell at the shooting guard position and Earl Watson at the point guard. But there are going to be times this year, a lot this year, when you see those two play together, sort of like Byron Scott did with Chris Paul and Speedy Claxton with the Hornets.
I was going to say there was going to be a Hornets reference, and I was thinking about that. They put another ball handler on the court and let Chris Paul play away from the ball. Maybe that was to preserve him, too, because the rookie wall inevitably will hit, and maybe that'll save some of the freshness. The other thing you talked about, though, that we saw might be relevant, what about Johan Petro?
Johan Petro is a guy who looks like he's improving. I think he's going into his 4th year now, 3rd or 4th year. I can't think of it offhand. But he looks like he's improving. He's played against some second-line guys in the preseason, which is sort of not a true indicator of where he is right now. But he showed toughness rebounding. He showed toughness as a defender. And he showed the ability to hit a 15 to 17-foot jump shot. So if he can do that, carry that over into the preseason, I think he can be an answer for this team that this team needs up front.
He and Westbrook look pretty good on pick and roll plays in a couple games where it looks like, pick and pop, step out and shoot it, and then slide down the lane. That looked like an interesting combination in a couple games. What didn't we see in the preseason that may come to bear tonight?
The biggest thing is Joe Smith. He was the guy that they brought in here for veteran leadership, sort of the P.J. Brown, if you will, to continue the Hornets reference. But he's a guy that this team needs. The injury-plagued front court that they have, they don't have much in terms of low-post defense with Robert Swift being sort of banged up. Nick Collison and Chris Wilcox were banged up throughout the preseason. So Joe Smith is a guy that they need for low-post defense, and he can also hit that 15-footer too. So he only played, I think, 49 minutes in the preseason and all 7 games. So, tonight I think we get a true sense of, what Joe Smith will bring to this team.
If you read the stuff out of Cleveland, which I know you do, they talked about the Cavaliers really didn't want to give up Joe Smith, that he gave them a toughness in the post last year in the playoffs after he came over in a trade. Also, he's a good free throw shooter. He's had seasons of 81, 82% free throw shooting. So it shows the guy's got a touch, and he can be a decent scorer in and around the basket. You're right, we didn't see anything of him in the preseason. The Bucks are coming to town tonight. They're coming off a loss at Chicago. And you saw that game. What do the Bucks bring to the Ford Center that fans ought to keep an eye out for?
Michael Redd. Keep your eye on number 22 because he's one of the best shooters in the league. The Thunder needs a shooter like Michael Redd.
Everybody does.
Everybody.
The guy was on the Redeem team.
That's right. But they got an acquisition in Richard Jefferson, who played in New Jersey throughout his career with Jason Kidd, Vince Carter, even back to Kenyon Martin days. So he's a former player for Byron Scott. he's a guy who's going to add versatility to that team, and he's going to create matchup problems tonight for the Thunder. And then when you go beyond Michael Redd and Jefferson, you look at the inside-outside duo, low post duo they have in Andrew Bogut, Charlie Villanueva. Those guys create a lot of matchup problems. Now, the Bucks aren't the best defensive team, which should help the Thunder tonight. I mean, they gave up 108 points to a Bulls team that wasn't very good offensively last year. So
look better, though.
They look better with Derrick Rose, but the Thunder should be able to sort of get what they want tonight against the Bucks defensively. But Scott Skiles should change that soon. He's a defensive-minded coach.
On that thing, your picks to click tonight, both for the Bucks and the Thunder. Who do you like?
I like Andrew Bogut for the Bucks. He was in foul trouble last night against the Bulls. I think he comes out tonight and has a better go of it against sort of an undersized front line of the Thunder with Chris Wilcox, Nick Collison, and then Joe Petro and Johan Petro and Joe Smith. So I like Andrew Bogut.
This is his third season. He was the #1 pick in the draft that produced Deron Williams, or
fourth
season. Deron Williams and Chris Paul. So he was the #1 pick. Is it time for him to blossom?
Well,
do we see any of that?
He showed some last year. I mean, he averaged just under 2 blocks a game. I mean, he's a good passer for his size, and he can score inside and out. I mean, he's versatile. He's mobile and agile. So, I think this is going to be a good year for him. I question whether or not, losing Mo Williams, he wasn't the best setup man, but Luke Ridnour is a better passer. He's going to have to get Andrew Bogut his touches. They got to find a way to get him some touches. On the Thunder side, I like Kevin Durant. I just think the emotion of the evening is, great players feed off of, great crowds. All players do, but great players have the ability to take it a step further. I think Kevin Durant is going to have a good game. And Michael Redd is not the best defender in the league. For as good as he is as a shooter, he's not the best defender. They might put Richard Jefferson on him to sort of slow him down. But, Richard Jefferson is about 2 to 3 inches shorter than Kevin Durant. So I think that gives KD an advantage tonight.
We also might find out how he's developed his low post game, which is something that he said was a area of focus in the preseason and the postseason. Listen, Darnell, thanks. We'll keep up with all the news and analysis on the Thunder with up-to-the-minute details at newsok.com, newsok.tv, and daily by picking up a copy of the New Look Oklahoman.